Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining me again. This is Christopher Aaron. It is Wednesday, December 9th, 2015. We are looking at the precious metals, and it is my goal to bring you the most clear, precise analysis of what is actually happening in the markets today, to filter out a lot of the bullshit that you hear in the financial press. So we start off every week by looking at the action in gold and silver over the last few days. But I want to put this in perspective. This is not just a US phenomenon. There is something happening right now which is truly unprecedented, and that is the central banks printing money to give to their member banks, to start wars, to pay for fill-in-the-blank program that they desire. The point is, this is happening all over the world. So here we're looking at an article from the Financial Times from last evening, and we're looking at the inflation rate in the country of Brazil. So Brazil, maybe we don't think about it too often, but Brazil has been one of the fastest growing economies in the world over the last 15 years. And we see here their inflation up to 12% per year. So Brazil printing their way to prosperity, we should say, devaluing their currency. Now, in the past, you had the option, if your local currency was being printed into oblivion, you could buy US dollars, let's say, which up until 1933 were backed by real gold. And let's say up until the 1970s, you could buy Swiss francs, which were backed by gold. Today, you can't buy anything that is backed by gold as far as paper currency. So you have to buy the metal itself. And that's why we are really living through this unprecedented time period here. We're going to start by looking at silver over the last few days. Silver has been weak, kind of falling back from the gain that we saw on Friday, back into this region just above $14 an ounce. Now, I want to show what the bottom looked like in 2008 through 2009 so that we can have a much clearer idea of what to expect over the next 6 to 12 months in the silver market. This is a few years after I started following the silver market, and we had the high here from roughly $20 an ounce in 2008, and the crash of 2008, which brought everything down, including the banking sector, silver as well. And we can see here the price action in silver formed something looking like a wedge pattern. See these two blue lines here? And these are the same color systems that we use for every slide. So you had a wedge pattern here forming, and you can see the number of times that the price of silver hit this upper blue line, at least 5 times, before it actually broke above that line. And you can see the highs were coming down, the lows were coming down, but not at the same steepness as the highs. Now, this pattern happened over the course of about 6 months in silver in 2008. So remember this pattern. We're going to look at the next slide, the current action. Remember this wedge pattern that you're seeing here. This is a bottoming pattern. After this pattern broke in 2008, silver recovered from roughly $8 an ounce all the way up to 48 in 2011. So here we are looking at the action over the last 3 years. We are extending this chart out into the future. And this is roughly the same bottoming pattern that we were looking at in the last slide. Now this pattern here is taking a lot longer to play out. Yes, this is a 3-year wedge pattern that is forming. However, you can see 1, 2, 3, 4 hits on this upper trend line. And these wedge patterns are bottoming patterns. And they will break at some point as these lines converge. Now, if you backtrack to the last slide, you will see that the price of silver broke out in late 2008 before it reached the end of the wedge pattern. We are still in the wedge pattern, and I expect this to break at some point here in the next 6, possibly 12 months, but we're not that far away from it. When you consider how long silver has gone down, we are in the final stages of this bottoming process. Coming in right here at this level, which is roughly equivalent to the long-term, I'm going to move my camera there, the long-term linear uptrend line that we've been seeing for basically the last 12 years. And we're coming in right to that zone right now. So it's very grinding, I know. But this is the shape that bottoms take, and they take some time to play out. They try to wear you out. We look at gold every time as well. A similar story here with gold, following silver, if you will, in the mid-range of the last 3 days of price action. And we can see we're looking at the 6-month time frame again, the new low that gold has made. I mentioned in the last video after that strong update on Friday that we should watch for this double black line here to act as resistance, shown in black right here. And the double black line held it for the last few days, and we're watching now to see, does this continue to move lower, or is it going to challenge this double black line again? Do we have any clues? Yes, we always look at the mining complex, this being the GDX mining complex of gold and silver miners. And we are looking at a continued, basically, I would call it a nonchalant kind of trading action by the gold miners. Basically just trending up at this point, even though gold has stayed below that level from July. So we continue to monitor this. This is a good sign if you're a gold investor or a silver investor to see the large cap gold miners holding their own even as the metals have yet to really rebound. We are looking at the confluence of support and resistance levels here in this green band where I expect the final low to come. If you are new, I have several articles up on the Gold-Eagle website. If you go to gold-eagle.com, I publish articles there, and you can search for my name, Christopher Aaron, and you will see a detailed explanation of this chart right here. That's just for anyone that's new, so that I don't spend too much time covering things that I have been covering for people who've been watching for the last 3 months. Thank you for joining me, everyone. This has been the midweek update. A more thorough update will follow on Saturday or Sunday. And very quickly, I just wanted to mention there is a new article up there on Gold Eagle, which really discusses what I mentioned a few videos ago about the Federal Reserve and the interest rate policy and how that should affect precious metals. So if anyone wants a written version of that, sometimes you might have people that come up to you and say, oh, you invest in gold, or they're debating you about it, and they say, well, the Fed is about to raise interest rates, so gold is going to go down. You can point to this article and bring up specific examples of rising interest rates with rising gold and silver prices. So if that would help to show them this article, I know there's a lot of debate about what's going to happen after the Fed raises interest rates, possibly in the next meeting, but we will see. Anyway, that article is available for you. Thank you again for joining me. Have a nice rest of the week. I will see you this weekend.